All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation on behalf of the California Department of Veterans Affairs and the California Transition Assistance Program. My name is Derek Rose, and I'm a training coordinator for the CalTAP team, and we'd like to welcome you to today's presentation on housing programs, services, and resources. So before we begin today's presentation, I'd like to kind of go over some general housekeeping items for the day. We do respectfully ask that you keep your cameras turned off for the presentation if you are not a presenter, as well as keep your microphones muted. This one just kind of helps eliminate some of the distractions for the presentation, as well as to conserve some bandwidth for the rest of the presentation. So we do respectfully ask that from you. As far as the agenda for this morning, we are going to go over the California specific veterans benefits that are offered here in the state of California, as well as show you how to navigate the CalTAP program online. And then following that information, we are going to have our guest speakers from the Veterans Housing and Homelessness Prevention Program with calVet, as well as a representative from the HHP program. So we have a lot of information to cover in a short amount of time. So we are very appreciative of your time this morning and spending a portion of your morning with us. If you have questions throughout the morning and you want like to reach out to ask somebody or for the group, we do ask that you use that chat feature on Zoom. Which you can see right here of how to use the chat feature. So there's going to be a tab on there titled CalTAP Questions. If you would like to just send your questions to that tab, we will facilitate that question. My colleague Danielle is on the other end. She can either answer that question for you on the spot or just hold that question till the end to our Q&A panel, and we can address it at the end of the presentation. So please use that chat feature to ask your questions as well. So let's go ahead and begin with an overview of the CalTAP program. Again, my name is Derek Rose. I'm a training coordinator for CalTAP, United States Navy veteran. So I'm really honored to be able to present this information to you today, and it's going to be a lot of great information that we hope you get some value out of. So what exactly is CalTAP? CalTAP is a program that's designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras of their earned federal and state benefits. And we really like to emphasize that, we don't particularly focus on just recently separated, post 9/11 veterans. We make our services available to all eras because we know that those needs change over time. So the way that we've done that is we created our CalTAP pathways that you can see right here on the screen. There is our core curriculum pathway, which is basically Veterans Benefits 101. There's education, employment, entrepreneurship, and a service provider pathway as well. So if your transition is taking you to any one of these key areas, or if your needs fit any one of these key areas, we've designed pathways and modules on our website to help you navigate each one of those resources. And we are going to show you a little bit more how to find our information. But first, I would like to show you all a copy of this wonderful resource. This is the California Veterans Resource Book. If you do not have a hard copy, we encourage you to go on our website and download the PDF copy of this book. It's a great tool. It is basically all of your veterans benefits from A to Z, from state to federal to local resources as well. I believe we're going to be sending out the link for this in the chat, so you can download it today and keep it handy with you. So this is a great tool. We're going to be referring to it a few times throughout the presentation. So to actually find the CalTAP program on our website at calvet.ca.gov, this is our main screen, and you can see that icon right down there on the right-hand side. That is our CalTAP program where you can find us. And so if you clicked on that, that would bring us to our main page, the CalTAP page. And here's where you can find those modules or those pathways that I mentioned just a little bit earlier. But I really would like to start by showing you that link down there of our archives of all of our recorded webinars that we've been hosting as of late. So if there's anything that you want to find out more information on, and kind of what the CalTAP program is doing specifically online over the past year or so. This is where you can go and view all of our previously recorded webinars. It's very topic specific, so you can find webinars that are related to mental health services, employment services, minority veteran outreach as well. So all of those presentations are recorded along with a copy of the PDF PowerPoint version as well. So we encourage you to find us online and to check out our website, and you might find something that you didn't know previously, or find some great information on there as well. So how can I actually use the CalTAP program online? So again, referring to our main page, CalTAP, we want to start by clicking on that core curriculum pathway. And if we clicked on core curriculum, you can see all of the modules that encompass that pathway. But for the purpose of today, we want to focus on that module 5, which is California specific benefits, because most of us, or all of us, are residents of California, and we want to know what the benefits are here in the state. So if you clicked on that, that will actually also give you a PDF learning copy of all the lessons in there from your benefits, very similar to that veterans resource book. All of this information is in your resource book as well, but we wanted to show you all of the PDF copy as well. So what are my California benefits, right? We've mentioned them a few times, so we want to know, what are they? So again, you can start by finding them in our resource book, but we're going to actually go over and do just kind of a high level overview of them right now. So first and foremost, one of our most commonly utilized or popular programs is the College and Tuition Fee Waiver for veterans dependents. Now, this is a great program. It waives tuition and fees at any state-funded school, which would be a UC, CSU, or a California community college, all the way through that student's doctorate or even a PhD level of education. There's no cap on the level of education. All that's required is that the veteran, you as the veteran, have a 0% service-connected disability or higher. So it's a great program if you have kids that are of college age and you may have that eligibility to please take advantage of this. As you can see, it saves California veterans several millions of dollars a year in tuition costs. We also partner with DMV on a few different programs. One of the most popular ones is that veterans driver's license, that veterans designation on your driver's license. So that just allows you to have the word veteran printed on your driver's license. So that way, you don't have to carry around a paper copy of your DD-214 if you want to get your Home Depot discounts or all those great local discounts that businesses offer for veterans. There's also the Honoring Veterans license plate. Any motorist can have this plate. It's not just veteran specific, but it's a nice way to show your appreciation for veterans. You can actually personalize the license plate to have a logo or an emblem from your period of service or a certain campaign that you worked on or a branch of service as well. And there is a motor vehicle registration fee waiver that you could be eligible for. Full disclosure, this benefit is reserved for those who have a significant service-connected disability that somehow impairs their mobility. But we recommend reaching out to your local county veteran service office to find out all the eligibility criteria so that they can work with you and make your DMV experience a little bit easier. So outdoor activities, California is a great place for outdoor and recreational activities. You can qualify for a reduced fee on your hunting and fishing licenses. You would simply apply through the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And there's also a state parks pass discount as well that you could be eligible for. And you would also apply through that benefit through the California Department of Parks and Recreation. So some tax programs that are available to veterans. There's the Disabled Veteran Property Tax Exemption. This benefit is reserved for those with a total 100% rating from the VA. If you do have that eligibility, you can apply through your local county assessor's office for a certain exemption amount on your home if you do own a home. There's also the business license tax and fee exemption if you want to sell any goods or products or services and you needed a business license to do so. Please check with your local issuing office for that license. It could be different per jurisdiction, but you could have that eligibility. So we recommend you following up with that. as well as the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Program, or the acronym DVBE. I would personally classify this as more of an entrepreneurship program, but that DVBE is a certification that you can attach to your business if you're a business owner and you want to do business with the state of California. That certification will give you preference and a leg up when it comes to bidding on state contracts. So another one of our popular programs is the CalVet Home Loan Program. It can provide full financing for veterans, oftentimes with really low or zero down payments. They still have competitive interest rates compared to private mortgage lender. And it's a great program. And we've conducted several online webinars extensively about CalVet home loans. So I really encourage you to go back to our archived webinars to where you can find out all of the information. And we really encourage you to reach out to our home loans division if you're interested in home ownership in the state. CalVet Women's Veterans Division at our headquarters in Sacramento. This division provides information, advocacy, outreach, and support to all of our California women veterans. A great part about this program is that you could actually submit your name to be included in the California Women's Veterans roster. And that's just a way for you to network and connect with other women veterans who may be entrepreneurs or just mentors for you, and really just a way to establish that network, which is so important to the transition process. So if you wanted to find out more and where to find our CalVet Women's Veterans page, you can go on our website and you can find all of their contact information. The same thing with our Minority and Underserved Veterans program as well. Information, advocacy, and support to all of California's minority veterans. A great thing about this program is it actually assists and helps unnaturalized veterans here in the state with citizenship and naturalization resources. And you can find all of their information on our webpage as well. So another benefit that the CalVet offers is our CalVet homes for long-term care. So this may be, a little bit down the road for you, but we wanted to, let you know that you do have this eligibility when that time of need does come. These homes provide long-term care for veterans, offering medical, dental, pharmacy, rehab, social activities, and you can see those 8 locations. They're pretty spread out all throughout the state. So just know that you have that eligibility when that time of need does come. As well as our state cemeteries. You may be familiar with the National Cemetery Administration, but CalVet operates 3 cemeteries here as well in the state, and you can see those locations in the Central Coast area, the Redding, and at our Yountville Veterans Home, which is in Napa County. So here are some common veteran websites that you may be familiar with already, or you're going to be coming across in the future. This is va.gov, and you can see that they've made it pretty user-friendly with their kind of key areas as well, with healthcare, disability claims, records maintenance, and actually applying for education benefits as well. So another great tool within va.gov is e-benefits. E-benefits is a great way for you to track and manage the benefits that you're in receipt of from the VA. You can also apply for benefits through e-benefits, but we always recommend working with an accredited veteran service representative to make sure that you have an advocate for all of your claims that you're filing for the VA. So that's just what we recommend. But if you are receiving benefits, you can go on here and print out your certificate of eligibilities, you find out how much time you have left on your GI Bill, and things of that nature. So we wanted to show you that as well. My Health, eVet, if you are choosing to receive your healthcare still through the VA, this is a great way for you to refill your prescription, schedule your online appointments, message your primary care physician, and actually download and manage all of your healthcare information. So I know that was really quick and there's a lot of information to cover, but that is the benefits overview for CalVet and for CalTAP. Again, my name is Derek Rose. I'm a training coordinator. That is my personal contact information. Feel free to email me, reach out if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to take all the time as needed to speak with you. With that, I am now going to transition over to our local interagency network coordinator, Mr. Lance Yunker. He serves the San Diego region, and he's going to speak to you a little bit more about what he does locally in his area. So, Lance, if you are with us,
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Take it away.
All right, great. Okay, so before we jump into the housing part of this, we just really wanted to quickly go through another benefit that you kind of have here with CalVet, which is the local interagency network coordinators. So I am one of 8. There are 8 different regions in California, broken into from the FEMA disaster relief zones of California. And so each region has a link, and I am the link for San Diego. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that map. And really what we are is a great resource to you, whatever region you are in. You're going to have a link. You're going to have somebody from CalVet who's going to be able to answer the phone, email, text, and answer your questions, help guide you along through any processes, and get you connected to different benefits, especially the local benefits. You can see the regions aren't necessarily geographically similar. You can see Cole has a massive region in the north, and me and Ben have smaller regions down in the south, but there are a lot more veterans in our region. So San Diego is a great region. It's got 8 different military installations in San Diego. So we have tons of transitioning veterans, and get to help with that all the time. So no matter where you are, make sure that you write down the email at least for the link that's in your region. And if we go to the next slide, it'll tell you a little bit more about what we do. So our main goal is to be the outreach arm of CalVet. So before COVID, that looked a lot different. We were going into the communities, speaking at events, sharing about CalVet benefits to any and all veteran groups and organizations, and that has now switched more to this virtual platform. And hopefully, we'll start to kind of head into more of a hybrid route here pretty soon. But outreach is really our main focus. But we also are referral experts in the sense that we get to know our dedicated regions as well as we possibly can. We set up, networks and relationships with all the different nonprofits, the government agencies, everything you could think of. Anybody that's out there willing to help veterans in active duty and their families, we're going to, try and get to know them. That way we can refer you when you come calling us and ask, hey, does somebody help with this or that? And we can get you to the right people. So that's really our main focus, and probably the biggest benefit to you is that you can make a call or an email or a text to your link and get plugged into a lot of services that you may or may not know exist. In San Diego, there's actually over like 300 different service organizations serving veterans, their family, and military. So, the sky's really the limit when it comes to getting assistance for things. The links help with us with local emergencies. So anytime there's the fires or sometimes floods, when these local assistance centers get set up, we usually man those. So a link will be sent out to these LACs, and we provide, assistance and guidance in those tough times, loss of house, that kind of stuff. Um, and then the other thing I guess we do is provide leadership and advocacy to the local communities. Again, this has changed quite a bit with COVID, but somewhere up in like Cole's region in the north, there isn't as many collaboratives and stuff that are set up. So, he's able to kind of, really help get the communities together and figure out ways to get in touch with veterans who are, somewhat off the grid, and try to provide that leadership and advocacy in those communities. Next slide. So a couple things that we can help with as well, employment and training. So we can get you plugged into different resources at EDD, American Job Centers. We're we know about the different state benefits that you can get. We have relationships with the county veteran service offices, which are really our intake centers for any of our calvet benefits. Most of them will go through the CVSO office. So getting in touch with one of us can help you get plugged in there as well. And then we all have connections, and contacts at the VA medical centers, clinics, and vet centers as well. Next slide. So this is my information here. You can always get in touch with me. That's my direct cell number, and my email there. And if you live in a different region, I'll be more than happy to connect you with the link in your region as well. So, with that, I'll turn it over to the next part of this presentation, which I believe is Sean. And hope you all have a great day.
Thank you, Lance. All right, now I would like to introduce Sean Johnson, who is the program manager for the Veterans Housing and Homelessness Prevention Program at CalVet. And he's going to speak to you a little bit more about the program and who it serves. So with that, Sean, if you're ready, feel free to take it away. Oh, it looks like Sean is just jumping on here. So we'll give him 1 minute. I believe Sean just had to rejoin the meeting real quick. So we'll just give him a minute or two, and hopefully he's coming back on board here. Appreciate your patience. Thank you. Sounds like you're muted there, Sean. Oh. You are muted right now, so apologize. Yeah. I'm not hearing any audio coming from your end.
Hi, Derek. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I've been having some, hopefully, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Just, in case my connection is really scuttled a little bit, we can be reached at calvet.ca.gov for questions. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully it can be heard well enough to make sense, and I'll just go right into it. So we're talking here today to talk about the Veterans Housing and Homelessness Prevention Program. It was basically started back in 2014 by way of Prop 41 that was passed by voters. $800 million available for developers interested in building multifamily housing for veterans. And so what we mean by multifamily housing is basically apartment buildings not used for developing single family housing. So in other words, the program is essentially money available for builders, and once those builders use the money, then those units are available to veterans who need them. So really the goal of the program is to build that housing, and then also to make sure that there's inventory available to stabilize housing for those veterans experiencing homelessness or any veteran that's at risk of homelessness. So we'll talk about the housing in a little bit here. So the program is administrative partnership between CalVet, the California Department of Housing and Community Development, and also the California Housing Finance Agency. We work together to administer the program. So let's move to the next slide, Derek. Can we move to the next slide? Can you hear me? Okay. So the housing types that are put together through VHHP, as you see here, there's 3 different types. All units, housing units that are developed by way of this program are made affordable to veterans, depending on the veteran's income. Various units are going to be restricted to those veterans with really, really, really low income, perhaps maybe as low as 30% of the area median income. And then other units will be made available to veterans with a little bit more income. Those are affordable housing units, and it's essentially income restricted. So if you have a certain level of income or lower, then you would qualify for that affordable unit. Another type of housing unit that is developed through VHHP is supportive housing and transitional housing. These types are targeted to veterans experiencing homelessness. So those veterans that are on the streets now, or are considered homeless in a variety of different ways, they would qualify for one of these, depending on need. It's important to understand that supportive housing is a needs-based type of housing, and if you're a veteran experiencing homelessness, and you have any health-related issues, whether it be mental health, physical health, any type of health-related needs that need addressing in order to stabilize the housing, to be able to stay there and maintain the rent and everything else involved. The supportive housing and transitional housing offers an array of services to help with that, from mental health treatment, physical health treatment, substance abuse treatment, you name it. Legal assistance. Family reunification assistance, where that applies. So a lot of services that are there with the goal of helping a veteran thrive in housing and thrive in the community that the housing is built in. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so a couple of goals with VHHP. Of course, we want to make sure that there's money available for developers to build this housing. So we've set a goal to award $75 million each round of funding, and and funding rounds usually happen about once a year, sometimes a little less often or more often. But we make that money available, and we've had 5 rounds so far, and have awarded $364 million in funding for these properties or these sites. And that basically runs down to about $72 million per round. It's important to note that you see that that's less than $75 million. When we make awards for this program, not every applicant with an idea is able to pull through and actually make their vision come to life. It's very difficult. If you talk to anyone who builds housing, he'll tell you exactly how hard affordable housing is to build. So some of them don't make it, but many of them do, and we have a significant number of properties that are built and operating right now. The other piece of VHHP is to make housing available not only for veterans experiencing homelessness, but for those veterans at a variety of levels of income.
I apologize, everyone. It looks like we lost Sean. So I think with that, what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to go ahead and move forward. As you can see right here, this slide was with the purpose to kind of show you where those developments are and how much funding was awarded to those target areas. As you can see, areas such as Los Angeles and the Bay Area
actually been awarded. The target is what we the percentage of total VHHP funding we intend to move into that area because of the need. And the need, as we understand it, is responsive to the annual of homelessness that's referred to as the point in time count. and that counts not only a general population in homelessness, but also runs account of veterans experiencing homelessness. And so this program is responsive to those findings and that data. And so, you know, we're going to see here in a little bit, you know, as we get through this, there's going to be a handout, or, you know, sort of a slide that shows the listing of properties, and you'll notice that they're listed all over the map in California. And so, you know, one thing that you also want to realize is that when you see these properties and, you know, getting into those properties is a different experience. So you'll really want to, you know, find out how the process works in your local area. And we'll get to that here in a second. Let's go to the next slide, please. Can we move to the next slide, Derek? Okay, accessing VHHP housing. This is the real critical piece, and this speaks to that difference in experience throughout the state. Local jurisdictions sort of have the autonomy and the ability to sort of do things a little differently. So one thing that's real important to understand with VHHP housing is that the veteran definition, right? Who qualifies for this housing? Our definition of veteran is different than what you might find with the VA. Our definition includes all veterans, regardless of discharge status, with at least 90 consecutive days of active duty service. And in that, you know, we actually go to great lengths to make sure that that 10% of the units that are developed through VHHP are prioritized for those veterans who are not eligible for VA health care. That's really important. You know, as we know, many veterans, you know, have, you know, bad conduct or dishonorable, you know, they have a discharge status that, you know, if they had known, and maybe if they, you know, had gone through the work, they may be able to elevate or upgrade that discharge status to make them eligible. So we make this prioritization there in order to find those veterans who may not know that they can get their discharge upgraded. Now, the Public Housing Authority is where you would get a voucher to support your living at a VHHP site. You know, it's a low-income housing, so, you know, a housing voucher to help pay for rent is critical. You know, the housing authority, your local housing authority, where you'd go to apply for that. And as you apply for that, you'll also be entering what is called the coordinated entry system. That's a system that essentially takes a lot of local agencies that work with people experiencing homelessness, including veterans, and understands their needs, you know, assesses them in terms of vulnerability. How critical is it that you get into housing? Are you experiencing? Have you experienced domestic violence? Are you a single parent with a child? You know, these are things that would elevate your vulnerability status and move you up the list to get into a unit quicker. So that process happens at the coordinated entry system, and the coordinated entry system is different depending on the county you live in and you know, where you live in the state. So you know, you're going to hear from the VA representative from Los Angeles today, and in Los Angeles they do things a certain way. May not be exactly the way that it's done in other in other jurisdictions throughout the state. VHHP has follows the Housing First statewide policy, and what that essentially means is, you know, it's meant to ensure access to housing. You know, a veteran can't be rejected for tenancy if they're actively using substances, or is receiving treatment for substances. On that same note, can't be denied because of credit history, rental history, criminal background to a certain extent. These are things that traditionally have, you know, blocked someone from accessing housing, but Housing First policy says they can't do that. You can't, you can't use that to deny someone access to housing. Any services that are made available are optional, right? So the veteran isn't forced to engage in a bunch of services unless they want to, and those services cannot be meant to be a condition of tenancy. So they can't leverage your housing opportunity on the condition that you take services. So optional services are there for housing, you know, because of Housing First. Next slide, please. If you can hear me, Derek. Okay, now this is the handout that I was referring to, and you can, we have this as a handout, so you can, we can provide this as needed at any point. This is a listing of the properties, where they're located, and some contact information. As I said, the process for getting into these locations is different throughout the state. So, it may not be the case where you can just call the property and express your interest. You may have to go through the housing authority, who will prioritize and direct you to the opportunities that apply. These are just, this is meant to give you an understanding that there are veteran-specific properties with veteran-specific units available, right? And so when you do contact the housing authority and you express interest in a housing voucher, you can tell them that your interest lies in one of these properties. I would like to move in here if there's opportunity. You should know also that once these properties are built and they open the doors, they're virtually leased up immediately. But there are, people, veterans move in and move out. So there are opportunities, at any given time, potentially. So, if you'd like a copy of this, we can always get one to you. Next slide, please.
That's all we have, Sean.
Okay, now you'll hear from VA representative on HUD-VASH.
All right, Sean, thank you so much for the information. We really appreciate it. And we'll be sure to send out that handout, as well as answer any questions that may have come in regarding VHHP, and we'll provide all of the contact information at the end. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Estelle Anna, who is the Deputy Program Coordinator for the HUD-VASH program in the greater Los Angeles area. So we're honored to have her come on today and provide a little information about HUD-VASH. So Estelle, if you are with us, feel free to take it away. The floor is yours.
I am. Thank you, Derek, for inviting me, and hello to everybody. As Derek said, my name is Estelle Anna. I'm the Deputy Program Coordinator for the VASH program here at the Greater Los Angeles VA Medical Center. So I'm just going to go over our program, generally what it is, the service we offer to our veterans, and the eligibility criteria. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any after that. You can also email me if you have any specific questions about our program. So Derek, will you be advancing slides?
I will, Estelle. So feel free to just say next slide, and I'll
go ahead.
I'll handle
next
it.
slide. Thank you. Okay, so what are we? So VASH is a partnership between the VA and U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And this started I'd say about 12 years ago. And the purpose of that was to, I have the slide, but I'll give you a little bit more background. The purpose of that is if a single male applied for Section 8 housing in LA and really anywhere in the nation, a single male could possibly wait, depending on the city, anywhere between 2 to 20 years to be eligible for a Section 8 housing voucher, because obviously priority is given to families, women with children. And there was obviously a great need to try to house homeless veterans and provide veterans with affordable housing and subsidized housing. So HUD and the VA partnered to create a program, HUD-VASH, where HUD allocated a certain amount of their housing choice vouchers, their Section 8 vouchers is more commonly known, with the VA specifically earmarked for veterans. That way, when a single male veteran applies for VASH, they're not waiting the 2 to 20 years that is required. So that was the purpose of it. Sorry, I'm being distracted by IMs over here on the other side. So that was the purpose of that. And on the VA's end, our responsibility is to provide case management to the veteran. So to outreach to the veteran, to engage the veteran, to house the veteran, and when the veteran is housed, to provide case management for possibly the life of the veteran. For however long that veteran holds the voucher, we will provide case management. And the purpose of that is to help the veterans sustain their housing. So if they run into an issue, our staff is there to help troubleshoot that, to ensure that the veteran doesn't fall out of his housing or her housing. We provide well, I'll go through this, but the goal of HUD-VASH is obviously to provide permanent supportive housing, establish wellness and recovery goals, reintegrate the veteran into their community, and eventually graduate from HUD-VASH. You could go ahead and go to the next slide, Derek. VASH criteria is that the veteran is healthcare eligible. And what that basically means, and I think Derek kind of touched on this a bit, there's a veteran is a veteran, but there are veterans based on their discharge status from the service who may be healthcare eligible and who may not be healthcare eligible. So to be part of VASH, the veteran does have to be healthcare eligible. They do need to have some sort of mental or physical health problem or substance abuse problem. And when we do the chart review and we're looking at eligibility, that the veteran, has had frequent emergency room visits, treatment attempts, and maybe a lack of social support. There does need to be a documented disability in their medical record, whether that's physical, mental, substance abuse, but some sort of disability or mental health diagnosis. And when VASH started, chronically homeless as well was a criteria, which isn't currently, which you'll see in the next slide, although we do still try to target our chronically homeless veterans. It is no longer a main criteria for eligibility for admission into VASH. You can go ahead and go to the next slide, Derek. So in the pandemic, which we've all been in for about a year now, our homeless program office, to reach more veterans and to help more veterans during this pandemic, went ahead and dropped the chronicity requirement. So they're no longer required to be chronically homeless. They also dropped the need for intensive case management. And so one of the things we prioritized prior to the pandemic is somebody who really needed a lot of case management, a lot of engagement. And that to some degree is subjective, I think, when our staff is reviewing that, but that's no longer a requirement. However, VASH still is a case management program. That is what our staff does. They provide case management. So the veteran, when we admit them, still needs to need some level of case management. They need to be able to show that they aren't able to obtain housing on their own and that they do need some sort of support or to some degree some hand-holding in order to accomplish that goal. And that's something that our staff looks at when we're looking at which veterans we're admitting into VASH. Go ahead and advance, Derek.
Hi, Estelle. I'm so sorry. We just wanted to kindly ask, is there any way that maybe we could get a mute on those notifications
that are
coming?
Figure it out as I'm talking to you guys. I don't know how to do that. Hold on. Let me see.
We just had a few messages come in, and I think participants are just kind of wondering if maybe just close.
No, I totally agree. I wasn't sure if you guys could hear that or not.
Maybe if there's a way to just close out the window entirely and maybe just kind of come back to it.
All right, did that work? Oh, no, it did not. Hold on, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time. It's okay.
I closed the app, and so I'm not sure why that's still happening.
If not, it's okay. We don't need to,
no, it's not okay.
We don't need to spend the whole day trying to figure it out. But it's totally fine. But we just wanted to respectfully ask if that's okay.
No, I totally understand. Gosh, I hope that worked. Okay, I think that worked. All right. Okay, sorry about that. I think that finally worked. Okay, go ahead and advance to the next slide.
Okay.
So this is our process into VASH. So veterans can be engaged. They don't necessarily have to come to the VA. We have a lot of partners in the community that know how to refer into the VASH program. The veteran starts initially, whether be it here at our VA or with any other community partner that has access to it. They start with doing, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but a VI SPDAT, which assesses for, basically does a homeless assessment. And it's a series of questions that asks about their homeless status, how long they've been homeless, why they became homeless, what their financial situation is, where they've been living in the last 1 to 3 years. So it's a series of questions that are asked that generate a score. And if that score is 8 or above, then they're referred to VHHP for a screening. If it's 8 or below, they're typically not referred unless there's some sort of special situation. And then if that's the case, they'll go ahead and refer explaining what that is, and we'll consider that. We'll review that and consider it. So once they're referred for screening, our staff will complete a VHHP screening, and that will ask more detailed information about their homeless situation and what is the makeup of their family if they have one. Are they planning on applying for a voucher alone, or are they planning on applying for a voucher with a spouse or a partner or children? If it's a male, does he have any shared custody with children? How often does that person see their children? And then more of a deep dive into their financial situation. And as a result of that VHHP screening, then they get possibly accepted into the program. They go through an orientation. That's when they get assigned to their case manager, and they meet their case manager. And that's when they sit down for the first real talk with their case manager about their goals, not just housing goals, but also goals about employment, substance abuse treatment, if that's their goal, connection back with their physicians, their mental health providers. We are a housing first program, so we follow the philosophy in focusing on providing housing first. They do not have to be sober. That's not a requirement. Our goal is to provide a safe environment where the veteran can hopefully flourish. And then our job as providers are to provide wraparound services once they're housed, in hopes that we can work towards their goal of sobriety, or at least maybe lessening use of whatever substance they choose. We remind our social workers and our peers that it's their goals, not ours. Our job is to work within their situation and try to make them as successful as possible. So this slide walks you through sort of the whole process from admission into signing a lease, doing the inspection with the housing authority. So we start with an intake team that takes all of our, homeless veterans. They do the vouchers. They help find places where they can live. They lease them up, and then they're with them for about 4 to 6 weeks before they transfer them into their what we call SPA team. And we have, which stands for Service Planning Area. We have SPA teams from Kern County, Santa Barbara County, Ventura County, obviously, and LA County, all around, and they get transferred into the area in which they live. That way that team is more accessible to them. Obviously, we're not going to have a social worker that's based out of West LA continue to manage a veteran who lives in Lancaster. Once the veteran moves to Lancaster, that social worker who initially housed the veteran will transfer the veteran to the team that we have in the Lancaster clinic. And then that social worker there would become their case manager for the duration of time the veteran's living in that area. And if the veteran after a year wants to move back to into the greater Los Angeles area and move to Santa Monica, then we try to rehouse them there. And then the veteran will change hands to another case manager that's in that local area. We provide ongoing case management, again, for the duration of the time the veteran holds the voucher. So if the veteran holds the voucher from 30 years old to 80 years old, he very well could have case management services for that entire time. Graduation for us is a pretty great day. I mean, that is a time where the veteran has either purchased their own home, which happens, or is able to gets a job and no longer meets the financial requirements for VHHP and or the housing authority, and is able to pay rent on their own. And so we graduate them out of the program. But those are some of the great success stories we have at VHHP. Go ahead and advance, Derek. So we follow stages of case management. Our veterans start in intensive, which means they are visited by a social worker and or a peer every single week, once a week, face to face. During the pandemic, we obviously had to about face a bit, and we were doing virtual visits and home visits when absolutely necessary, obviously with PPE in mind. but it is weekly home visits. And once the veteran can demonstrate a little bit more stabilization, they move into stabilization, which is every other week. And again, once the veteran establishes more stable environment, then they go into maintenance, which is once a month, and then prep for discharge, which is once every 3 months, and then graduation, which is once a year and or no longer requiring case management. Now, this is a sliding scale. They can go back and forth at any point in time over the course of many, many years. They all start in intensive, and in the beginning, we'll move through this phase. But we have veterans that are in prep for discharge for 3 years and go through a crisis and end up in intensive, or are in prep for discharge for a very long time and for one reason or another lose their housing. Either they relapse, maybe they have a loss in their family that creates, a shift in their life, and then they go back to intensive. So, a lot of our veterans go back and forth throughout these stages for quite a while. Go ahead, Derek, you can advance. Our teams are multidisciplinary. We have social workers, peer support specialists, housing specialists, nurse practitioners, nurses, occupational therapists, registered nurses. We have employment specialists, LVNs. We have motor vehicle operators. We're going to have a pharmacist. We're working on a dietitian. And of course, the veteran at the center of this team. Go ahead and advance, Derek. So these are our numbers. GLA is the largest homeless veteran program in the nation. And rightfully so. LA has the largest amount of homeless individuals in the nation and the largest amount of homeless veterans in the nation. And so we have the largest amount, we have the biggest program and the most amount of vouchers than any other VA homeless program across the nation. Currently, we're responsible for, as you can see, over 7,000 housing choice vouchers. We contract with 4 different agencies. We're contracted with PATH, VOA, Step Up on Second, and Carlos Lopez and Associates. They help with managing over 2,500 of those vouchers. They have staff that provide the same services that our VA staff do. And so across Greater Los Angeles, between the VA and these 4 contracted agencies, we have just about 5,000 housed veterans using these VASH vouchers, but a little over 2,000 unused vouchers that we still have available to help more homeless veterans get housing. And every year, HUD issues us more vouchers based on the need. So this last year, we got a little over 500 more vouchers based on the PIT count and the determined need in Los Angeles of how many more homeless veterans we have. The goal is to hit functional zero, to have no homeless veterans in our communities. And that's the goal we have here at our team as well. Go ahead, Derek. So this is our area. So as you can see, we work with 5 different counties. Los Angeles County, Ventura, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Kern. So we have staff all throughout these 5 different counties. Our VASH team has a staff of just about 300 individuals made up of the disciplines that I mentioned earlier. And so myself and Vanjie Liggins, who's our coordinator, oversee this program, and we have 15 managers that help us oversee that amount of staff. So it's a big program, but we're trying to get to our goal, which is having no homeless veteran on our streets. Go ahead and advance, Derek. I think we're just about the end. So these are just some references for the information that I shared with you today. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I think Derek has my email address in the PowerPoint slide. But thanks for your time, and sorry for all the dings out there before I was able to figure out how to stop it.
Great. Thank you so much, Estelle. We really appreciate your time and providing this information today. And we do have your information on there with your emails, as well as all of our presenters' emails today. So we really thank you for your time. I'll turn on my camera as well. We really thank you for your time and being patient with us as we kind of worked out some of the kinks today. But what we would like to do right now is we would like to reserve some time for any type of questions that you may have had. So if you were able to send those via the chat to the CalTAP questions tab, we can go ahead and address those right now and see if the subject matter expert can answer those. So I will turn it over to my colleague Danielle, who's been managing the chat. So Danielle, is there anything that we could clarify or provide answers to, or one of our presenters could answer themselves?
Good morning. We have a handful of questions. I'm going to start reading them now. Some of them I think can be addressed either by Estelle or by one of our, by Lance. I know there was something specific to the OC area that I had here, but I'll just start off with the first one. It is, if we currently hold a HUD-VASH voucher, is there a program to facilitate using the voucher in the home buying process in California?
No, the voucher cannot be used to help with purchasing a home. Was that the question?
Yes.
Yeah, no. And I've heard that before, and I've also heard that VASH vouchers in some places have been used to help pay for like assisted livings, but in LA, that's definitely not something we're doing, but not to purchase the home. They would have to use their VA loan process for that.
Thank you. Is there a group of veterans that CalVet or CVSO cannot work with? For example, someone with bad conduct, other than honorable discharge? I did address this a little bit in the chat. Just basically, CalVet will first try. CalVet or your local county veteran service office will try to do whatever they can for the veteran. It really just depends on what their service was and what everything looks like there. So if anyone would like to elaborate, that's what I did put into the chat for that question. But feel free to add more if anyone has more.
Well, I would say I think Estelle touched on the eligibility and the criteria for the VASH program specifically. But in relation to CalVet, we receive phone calls and contact all the time from veterans and also non-veterans. So even if we can't connect you to a veteran specific program, anything related to your eligibility, we're still going to try and work with you to get you plugged into any type of local resources as well. So whether it's veteran specific or non-veteran specific, our goal is to provide you assistance, and that goes for those who've served in the military as well as their family members and things like that. So we're always going to try and find the resource for you that would apply to you. Obviously, veteran specific is our main mission, but we'll help you as much as needed and get you plugged in if we can. So I don't know if I answered that directly, but I hope that provides some clarification.
Thank you, Derek. Is there any assistance for veterans with home buying?
So I can probably answer that as well. So there are programs through CalVet as well. So our CalVet Home Loans division has several different types of home loan programs and products that they offer. And if you are able to maybe view one of our previously recorded webinars on our home loans program, there is a lot of information about county-specific resources that can assist you with home ownership, like mortgage assistance types programs and down payment assistance programs. So if you want to find out more just about home ownership in general, and you're a veteran here in California, I definitely encourage just reaching out to our home loans division specifically. Maybe we can put that in the chat, and one of our colleagues can get you plugged in, whether it's a county resource or another, maybe a first-time home buyers program as well. So there are some programs. It's just you kind of have to maybe just do your due diligence depending on where you live and if that county maybe offers a mortgage assistance program.
Thank you, Derek. I think that covers the next question was very similar, as if the veteran doesn't have a job but wants to buy a home, what kind of resources and options are available out there? And I think your question really does touch on that. It does depend on if there's some local or county specific programs that could offer support and assistance. You just kind of have to ask and see what's out there. But CalVet is a really great place to start. CalVet Home Loans, I'll go ahead and put that information in the chat. They are more than happy to assist in getting you connected to other resources, or if they can help you themselves, they will. So the next question is, it doesn't appear as if there are any VHHP housing options in the OC area. What options or resources are there for veterans in this area?
Well, I'm not sure if Sean is still on with us right now.
Let me double check.
As far as physical locations, it's my understanding, and I think the first VHHP project that opened was in Orange County. I believe it was called Potter's Lane. It might have had a name change. But if you refer to that handout, I'm pretty confident there is Orange County location on there. I could be mistaken. Things may have changed over time, but whether it's a VHHP supported project or not, the starting place would probably be the Orange County Housing Authority or your city or county's housing authority to get you plugged into affordable housing resources just in general, whether that might be VHHP specific or just affordable housing in general specific. You can always check with your local county to get started. So I hope that answers your question. And I think we can maybe share that
Derek
handout. And yeah.
Hi, Derek, this is Sean. Can you hear me? I think I got through, and if you can hear me, can you hear me?
I can, Sean. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, great. Hey, you did a good job explaining, what a veteran in Orange County can do. Because yes, there is the Potter's Lane project that's over in Midway City, Westminster area. We do have a few others that are sort of in the pipeline right now, just not finished with construction. So those will be coming online. There's one in Santa Ana, a fairly big project there that, once that comes online, that should be available, actually a couple in Santa Ana, as a matter of fact. But Derek is right. These VHHP sites are, of course, veteran specific, but other affordable housing sites do not exclude veterans, right? And so, any affordable housing site that is made affordable to the general population is made affordable to veterans as well. So it'd be a matter of making sure that you're connected with the housing authority, as Derek mentioned, to make sure that you're able to apply, eligible and able to apply for a housing voucher to support your rent. So that's really the critical step in getting access. And then, of course, depending on where you live, that what I had mentioned earlier, that coordinated entry system, there's various entry points into that system. The housing authority may be one of those entry points where, depending on where you live. So if you if you're clear about your particulars of being a veteran, express interest in the site you want to go to, and then if you are not eligible for VA healthcare, whether if you have a other than honorable or a bad conduct or dishonorable discharge, the VHHP sites are certainly jacked into the to the County Veteran Service Office, and that's who they'll work with to see if they can get your discharge status upgraded to get into something that to start getting benefits in addition to the housing. So hopefully that helps clarify.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Could you touch bases just a little bit more? Just reiterate again some of the points that people can get in to get access to housing, because the next question I have is, how can a veteran get housing for themselves if they're living out of a garage? We've mentioned the housing authority.
It's such an important question. And, I really wish there was a real easy, smooth answer to that question. But the reality is that, every jurisdiction in California, every county, in some cases, even just a city inside of a county, may have a different process for making those access points available. But generally speaking, a housing authority is going to be an access point, and you might have, like behavioral health services at the county that would be an access point. But I think, as Estelle mentioned too, there's other access points just through veteran serving programs, like the supported services for veterans family grantees. They operate throughout the state, and cover various areas. So if if you contact us, we can tell you who that SSVF grantee is in your area, and they will certainly help to facilitate your entry and the processes that need to happen in that, as Estelle mentioned, you'll go through the assessment process, and SSVF grantees are there to help with that. So, it's different in every place, and I know that that's not what most people want to hear, but that's what our job is at calvet, is make sure that how it works in your area. So, in a combination with those grantees, and as as Lance mentioned, the links are there to sort of help facilitate. So we got a lot of means of facilitation. We just gotta know who you are and what you need.
Thank you, Sean. So our next question is about the HUD-VASH. What is the income requirement for one single disabled veteran?
Well, I think Estelle can probably speak to that also, for Los Angeles, but generally speaking, the limit is about 50% of the area median income. Some localities where these sites are built, the localities will place a more stringent income requirement on that. So you might have, might be a veteran with a disability who would need to have even less than that, maybe 30% of the area median income. But generally, it's between 30% of the area median income and 50%. That's the income range. And, and in most cases, you'll need a disability to qualify. I think in Los Angeles, there may be some exceptions to that, but, those are generalities with HUD-VASH, but I would defer to Estelle in Los Angeles.
So yeah, since that was a HUD-VASH specific question, thanks for your feedback, Sean, but does Estelle want to maybe add anything to that by any chance?
Yeah, so Sean's right. So typically it's 30 to 50% of the average median income of the area. I'm trying to pull up, this kind of recently changed with us in the last 2 years, what the actual, I think somebody's probably looking for the actual number of what our cutoff is for a single individual. So I do have that. If you want to move on, I'll be happy to type that in the comment section the moment I locate my little cheat sheet here.
That would be great, Estelle. If you could just send that in the chat, you can go ahead and send it to everyone in the chat meeting, and they should be able to get it. That way, I'll go to the next question while we're waiting on that. So this next question is, do you have any information on how to apply for the Veterans VA loan? So the VA loan is actually a home loan guarantee. So Derek and other veterans who are actual homeowners can speak a little bit more on that, but I believe you're getting funding from the bank, and the VA backs that. So it's not actually the VA that's loaning money or anything like that. It's just a guarantee that's kind of supporting and making sure that that loan is going to be good. Derek, I don't know if you want to emphasize on this, but I do believe you would apply for a home the same way you would without that home loan guarantee.
Yeah, perfect. That's a perfect explanation, Danielle. So it would just be a matter of, and this is the most common question related to CalVet and VA home loans, is what's the difference between a CalVet home loan and a VA home loan, right? So with a typical VA home loan that you probably all have your eligibility for, or most of us do as veterans, you're still applying for a home loan through a private lender, like a Wells Fargo or a mortgage lender, and the VA is guaranteeing that loan to that lender. You don't actually go through the VA to apply for your mortgage. The difference with CalVet is that CalVet, the state of California, is actually serving as your lender. So you would pay your mortgage to the state, to CalVet. So essentially what that means for veteran homeowners in the state who have a CalVet home loan is that it makes the process a little bit more personalized for the home loan application process, and CalVet can typically work with you a little bit more directly than a private lender can. So it's just kind of all based on the veteran's circumstances, if it would be beneficial for them to go to the VA home loan or the CalVet home loan. And our home loans team will tell you that CalVet is not in competition with the VA home loan. We actually advocate for the VA home loan as well, but CalVet will use that VA home loan entitlement or that VA home loan eligibility and fund a CalVet home loan with your VA entitlement. So it's just kind of all depends on the circumstances. So in regards to home ownership, I would recommend the first step would be to contact our home loans team at CalVet, and they can work with you, or if they think that that might not be your best option, they can point you in the right direction. But if you're considering home ownership, at least consider why CalVet might be a good option for you.
And I did put the link for the CalVet Home Loans website in the chat, as well as their phone number. I also sent the link for our Eventbrite page, because we have been having several webinars with the home loan program. And I will send the link again for our previously recorded webinars, because we do have a few from the home loans department specifically there. So we would encourage you guys to contact VA or contact CalVet Home Loans, or if you don't get the response you want, you can definitely look at that webinar in the interim. Okay, so the next question, not a housing specific question. I'm wondering if Lance could take this one, because I've heard him answer. I believe I've heard you answer this question before, Lance, but it's related to getting dental assistance. It's not related to their service connected disability, and VA healthcare isn't providing that. I know there are services out there. I believe Lance might be aware of some of them. Lance, if you can take that one. Looks like Lance might have dropped out, but I would definitely encourage you to contact your contact Lance. I can put his information is here on the screen. I know
I do know for dental care through the VA, you do have to have a service connected disability in relation to an oral service connected disability.
Yeah, and that's what this person was saying, is they were denied, and so they're looking for some additional dental assistance. And I know there are some out there, but it's not always attached to the VA side, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I want to have direct knowledge of. But perhaps the county vet service office might have that answer. And that kind of goes back to like our question, if I'm not eligible, based on my discharge status or certain eligibility, does CalVet, we'll still try and find that resource for you, whether it's a veteran resource or not. So.
Lance is taking a phone call right now. He did just message me. So the person who asked that question, I would definitely reach out to him, or depending on once we get through this next question, if Lance is finished with that. The links are always getting phone calls and are there to help the vets. So even during the webinars, they're always assisting everyone. So the next question, how can we apply for the voucher to assist with current rent? So I believe they're speaking of the HUD-VASH voucher. So this question is for Estelle.
So they'd have to do that with our program. Unless they're enrolled in VASH and assigned to a case manager, they wouldn't be able to apply for a VASH voucher. So anybody out in the community can't just help a veteran apply for a VASH voucher. It has to come through the VA team.
Can I, this is Sean, can I add to that also? Cause that's the HUD-VASH, but there are other ways, in certain circumstances, for instance, if it's a veteran that has just become homeless, or is expecting to become homeless, like if they're getting evicted, or, if the landlord is pushing them out and they have nowhere to go. The program I mentioned earlier, Supportive Services for Veterans Family, does have a component that does provide temporary rental assistance in those situations, and a separate element of that program that provides navigation and search for rapid rehousing, so with the focus in getting you as a veteran rehoused as quickly as possible to mitigate any time in homelessness.
Thank you, Sean. And that was the last question that I received. So Derek, if you want to take back over and go over the last few slides.
All right, thank you all. And thank you, Danielle, Estelle, Sean, and Lance for your time this morning. We would like to show everyone our upcoming webinars that we have scheduled through the rest of April and for May. As you can see, CalTAP is hosting an entire series of different topics at different locations and covering all sorts of great information. So we highly encourage you to follow us along, whether it's on social media or through Eventbrite. or on our webpage to stay tuned. If any one of these upcoming webinars look like that might be of interest to you, to please feel free to register so you can get all of the information. So with that, we of course like to say thank you for your time and thank you for your military service. Again, please feel free to contact us at calvet.ca.gov or CalTAP at calvet.ca.gov, and we'll take all the time needed to speak to you and answer your questions. So with that, I'd like to conclude, say thank you all, and have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.